All right, let's get started. Good to see some some I'll call them sort of old familiar faces today, and some new ones as well. So welcome everyone. Friday edition of 15 Minutes of Positivity. Um, I thought I would start it off with this quote. This is Joseph Campbell. It's been a big influence on my, I'll call it, spiritual journey and my attitude or my relationship to self and life and so forth. And he had this to say: people say that what we're all seeking is the meaning of life. And I don't think that's what we're seeking. I think that what we're seeking is an experience of being alive so that our life experiences on the purely physical plane will have resonances with our own innermost being and reality so that we can actually feel the rapture of being alive. I love that phrase, the rapture of being alive. And I was thinking, I had some conversations yesterday with some people, and I think part of doing this being human thing and trying to do it well or in a way that feels satisfying is truly to step into this rapture of being alive. And I think it requires a degree of skillfulness and resilience because I think our nervous system is naturally, pleasure seeking and pain avoiding. That's just kind of the way we're wired. But if we fall into that trap of placing those limitations or those expectations on, what leading a good life means, is it devoid of struggle or pain, and it's only about, hedonistic pleasures or good things happening, I think we miss out on some really foundational uh, parts of the human experience. And I can think in my own life, um, many things have happened that, had you asked me at the time, is this what you want to be experiencing, does this feel good, I would have said, no, get me off this train, this is a nightmare. And I can also say that from where I sit right now, that those were absolutely the where the big shifts happened in my life. So really challenging myself to sort of rethink my attitude towards myself and how I was living my life. And so I thought today the theme could be this idea of putting it all together, right? So we practice very specific skills, try to pick one of them a day to try to go deep on. But at the end of the day, I think the rapture of being alive to some extent requires a skillfulness in being able to put all of this together, at the same time or in relatively close sequence. And so I thought today maybe we try to focus on seeing if we can, how much of these we can touch into in terms of our experience right now. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So let's start closing our eyes, taking taking a moment to notice our body, space and time. I'm sitting on the ground today, not in a chair, so I'm having a bit of a different experience than I usually have, and just noticing what's it like to inhabit the body in this moment. Noticing breath coming and going, noticing sounds appearing and then disappearing, sensations, feelings kind of pop up out of nowhere. We watch them. At some point, they get replaced by others. And of course, the same thing with thoughts, memories, images that we see in our mind. Constant stream just coming and going. The Buddhists call this impermanence. Everything is transient, everything passes. And see if you can take a step back from all of these transient phenomena, we would call them, and notice the consistency or the solidity of consciousness, the part that's able to observe from a distance the thoughts, the feelings, the sensations. They come and go. The part that is able to bear witness and observe is vast and infinite, timeless. If that's difficult to experience, you can also try to focus on the space in between the thoughts. As one thought fades and is replaced by another memory or another, and you see if you can notice this. There's a space between them, as brief as it might feel. It's there. And with sensations and emotions, there's always a space between them. As Viktor Frankl said, in that space lies our freedom to choose which thoughts we pay attention to, which feelings we act upon. It's our attentional control and our self-awareness. And that space is also where we get to choose our response rather than our automatic, unconscious reaction. It's all predicated on having the awareness that all of this is happening in the first place. And the mind will wander. It's inevitable. It's just what the mind does. And even that, when you notice it, see if you can just gently and calmly and kindly just to choose to redirect your attention back to simply observing. And it's from that space, that spaciousness from which we can choose our responses, such as compassion, kindness, gratitude, forgiveness. Being able to choose those responses, in many ways, it's just a skill like anything else. The more we activate those parts of our nervous system, and the more we make those conscious choices, deliberate choices over and over again, the easier it becomes. So this whole positivity thing that we practice here together on a regular basis ultimately is really about turning temporary states into permanent traits. Well, the more we activate those neural networks intentionally, the more it becomes a baked in part of how we're wired and how we default mode from which we experience life. Again, if you notice your mind has wandered, or if you're getting caught up in the content of thoughts or memories, simply notice and gently return back to a place of just watching from a distance. All this being a neutral observer. Nothing is good or bad or right or wrong. It just is. And we get to choose what we want to do with that information. And we can also choose certain behaviors that set our nervous system up for success, such as activating a parasympathetic nervous system. And so to close this session out today, let's do a few rounds of the physiological sigh. So quick reminders to what that is. You take a full breath in and then you sip on top of it. So like this, sip and long exhale. Let's just do a few rounds of that. So go ahead and slow in breath, sip, long exhale. Slow in breath, sip, long exhale. Again, again, sip. And one last one, as long as you can make it. Slow exhale. Just let your body breathe on its own. Go ahead and open your eyes. Come on back to the room. Yeah, I hope this is sort of a useful way to enter the weekend. And just a quick reminder: there's every day, every moment of every day is an opportunity to practice these skills. And again, the more we do it, the easier it gets. And in my experience, the sweeter life becomes. The more we're able to stay in that place of feeling like there really is a rapture of being alive. So hope that was helpful. I'll stick around for a few minutes. Oh, actually, before I leave, one quick reminder. Some of you may know that we work a lot with veterans, and in Northern California, these treatments that we do at the clinic are actually a benefit that's paid for by the VA. So if you know veterans, if you have family members or friends or neighbors or anyone who's struggling with depression or PTSD, please send them our way. This is it's a project that's really dear to our heart, is to help veterans. So just thought I'd mention that. Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend.